ha.
Mapraktisan ako nin.
Lagi oh. Ongoing na di RDC. Lagi kay ang oh still there.
May buntag ka natong tanan. Good morning. Good morning, Region 10.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Sir God, will you allow Doc Senny to test her slides, or can we still have 2 minutes before we start at 9:30?
No need po. Live na po, ma'am.
Good morning. I can't hear.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yeah,
we're about to start, ma'am.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. We are about to start, but before we formally start our program for the launching, may we remind everyone to please register in the link we provided earlier. There's a Google form for that, so you will be officially part of our training for the flexible learning activities. So we will formally start. Again, good morning, everyone. The challenges and disruptions posed by COVID-19 pandemic to the academic community has led CHED to embark on this important endeavor to answer the urgent need to capacitate the higher education faculty for flexible learning. So here we are, glad to welcome you all to the launching of the series of regional higher education faculty trainings on implementation of flexible learning. Our happy greetings to all participants in the Zoom meeting room and to the majority who are joining us via live streaming in Chedro 10's Facebook page. Our resource speakers and members of the Regional Technical Working Group on Flexible Learning will be properly introduced later. To start with our program, may I request everyone to join us in the singing of the National Anthem and ASEAN Hymn. May I ask everyone to pause for a moment as we pray our opening prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, we humbly come before your throne of grace today. We thank you for the gift of life. We stand in awe while witnessing how you are working in our lives and in our nation amidst the challenges that we face. Thank you for the chance to experience your amazing love and grace every day of our lives. As we start this series of trainings, we offer everything to you. We ask for your blessing and divine providence that the activities set for this undertaking be successful and effective. We pray that you bless us so that we can fulfill our tasks responsibly, and that the objectives set for the trainings may all be achieved. You have promised to be with us every day, and in difficult days, give us clarity in our minds and strength in our work. When information comes from all sides, help us to discern. Help us to be socially connected when we have to be socially distant. Strengthen us and help us remember that we achieve more when we are together. Finally, Lord, during this time, may you be our sign of hope and love to all. Grant us peace, grant us comfort, and grant us healing. All this we ask in your mighty name and sovereign name. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning once again. Our Director of the Commission on Higher Education Region 10 will now give his welcome message. Please welcome Dr. Raul C. Alvarez Jr.
Together we stand. Together we will be stronger. And together we heal. To our good commissioners, of course, the chair of the commission, Dr. Popoy de Vera, and the commissioner, Aldrin Darlag, who's today going to be with us. Fellow workers in government, our esteemed presidents and administrators of our state colleges and universities, our presidents and administrators of our colleges and universities, likewise presidents and administrators of our private universities and colleges, our competent, and very, very much willing to learn faculty members, to one and all, may buntag ka natong tanan. This is the time when we express the full spirit of the resiliency of the Filipino. This is also an expression of the old ways which we are acclaimed and popular with. Sa pagkakaroon, we are faced with the the pandemic, and everybody will definitely be trying to cope up with the new normal. As such, I would like to express first and foremost my gratitude to the presidents and the administrators, the resource persons, including our efforts, their sleepless nights to come up with this intervention. We have about 7,000 plus faculty members eager to learn all over the region, from big and small colleges and universities alike. And this endeavor is but the culmination of so many hours of preparations from among our technical learning committees for flexible learning in Region 10. So, mga pioneering institutions, lest I forget some of the names. Later on, they'll be properly introduced along with their presidents and administrators, and also for the effort of each and everyone who made this program possible. Later on, all of the faculty members and all of you joining this training will be oriented, okay? And we will have a common understanding of our flexible learning modality in the context of the CMO, as we will have one member of our technical panel who will be introduced later, who will talk about it. Likewise, we will be hearing, of course, the message of our good commissioner, Aldrin Darilag, who has guided us through the formulation of this endeavor. I would like, likewise, to express gratitude to the those who formulated the training, in particular the faculty, the experts from the universities who participated as part of our technical working groups for training, for the formulation of our instructional materials and training of the faculty likewise, for those involved in the policy technical working group or committee, for those involved in the in preparing our proposal for the infrastructure of our HEIs. At this point in time, I'd like to make known to everybody that the Regional Development Council is also having a meeting, and all of our concerns will also be brought to the attention of our leaders in the region. As such, I would like finally to thank all of you for your time and devotion to really coming up with a viable preparation in anticipation of the new normal. In behalf of my staff and all of us here at Shed Regional Office 10, we welcome you and we hope that everybody would finish everything so that everybody would likewise be at equal footing with everybody preparing for the new normal. Daghang salamat, may buntag ka natong tanan.
Thank you very much, Director Alvarez. At this point in time, allow me to formally introduce to you the member higher education institutions comprising the Regional Technical Working Group on Flexible Learning. So our TWG, or Technical Working Group on Flexible Learning in Region 10, is composed of 10 higher education institutions, and they are represented and headed by their heads of schools, the chancellors, and the presidents. So these 10 schools are grouped into the 5 committees. The first committee is the Training and Capacity Building Committee, and we have 2 higher education institutions leading the work, the task for that committee. In particular, our Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, headed by the Chancellor, Dr. Socarno Tanggol, and the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines, with the President, Dr. Ambrosio Cultura. The Content Development Committee, on the other hand, is headed by the Xavier University with the President, Father Roberto Yap, and Capital University with its President, Attorney Casimiro Juarez. The Technology and Infrastructure Support Committee, which is very important in the conduct of our online trainings and webinars, is participated in by 5 higher education institutions, namely Misamis University, headed by its president, Dr. Karen Belina de Leon; USTSP, the Northwestern Mindanao State College of Science and Technology, with the president, Dr. Glenn Reyes; the Governor Alfonso D. Tan College, with the OIC president, Dr. Maricel Nueva; and again, MSU IIT. On the other hand, the Monitoring and Assessment Committee is headed by 2 higher education institutions, Bukidnon State University with its president, Dr. Oscar Cabanales, and Taguluan Community College with its head, OIC president, Dr. Karen Ungan. Last but not the least, but one very important committee is the Policy Committee, is headed by the MSU IIT again. Thank you to Dr. Socarno Tanggol for the support. And the partner institution is Central Mindanao University with the president, Dr. Jesus Dirige. Okay. I am also pleased to announce or to introduce to you the higher education institutions from where our pool of trainers, experts, resource persons on flexible learning in Region 10. So our very generous higher education institutions who will provide the trainers are the following. From MSU, Iligan Institute of Technology, the team will be headed by Dr. Seni Malabanan. From the University of Science and Technology in Southern Philippines, the head of the team is Dr. Amparo Dinagsao. From Capital University, the head of the training team is Dr. Amor de Torres. And from Xavier University, the head will be Dr. Heidi Rabanes. And from Misamis University, the head of the training team would be Dr. Geraldine Durias. And of course, it is but fitting also to acknowledge the participants, the training participants, specifically our faculty, because this training will depend largely on the active participation of our higher education faculty. As of this time, out of 107 higher education institutions, 93 schools have pre-registered, and that includes already our external campuses, BSU for example. And then for the individual faculty participants, we have almost 2,000 faculty who have pre-registered already. But currently, since we will be doing a per day and per session online registration, we are still monitoring how many have registered for today's morning session. Again, please be reminded that we have flashed earlier the link to the online registration, but later on, we will be flashing it again. And be reminded that when we start the session for the afternoon, another link for the registration will be provided. So at this point in time, we move on to our next part of the program, and we are very, very lucky and glad that the commissioner who is in the forefront of supporting and helping all regions in the Philippines in the creation of the technical working group on flexible learning is with us. In fact, from the very beginning, he was already with us together with his consultant for flexible learning. So please help me welcome Honorable Arden E. A. Darilag, Commissioner of the Commission on Higher Education. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Raul Alvarez, the Regional Director of CHED Regional Office 10, the presidents and administrators of the different higher education institutions of Region 10, members of the Technical Working Group of Region 10 for Flexible Learning, the officers and members of the Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges, colleagues in the higher education sectors, faculty and non-teaching staff, good morning. To begin with, this 2019 coronavirus disease or COVID-19 will go down in history as a turning point of the 21st century. In just a snap, our lives have changed tremendously. Scholars across disciplines and specializations all over the world, and rarely does it occur, have stumbled themselves with the consensus that indeed we are entering a new normal. This precarious but appropriate scenario was further described by the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus during one of his media briefings that the world will not and cannot go back to the way things were. There must be a new normal, a world that is healthier, safe, and better prepared. The journey to a new and better normal, as envisioned by global thinkers and policymakers, is not an easy one though. In the sector of education, where we are all in, the pandemic certainly did not spare us from this tremendous havoc. As of July 5, 2020, the UNESCO Global Education Coalition Monitoring Report of School Closures states that 61% of the total enrolled learners, or an estimated 1.06 billion students, have been affected by the pandemic, composing 111 countries around the world with declared nationwide suspension of classes. As to the particular statistics of the Philippines during this pandemic, the report records that more than 28 million Filipino learners have taken a toll in their education, with more than 3.5 million of those are your colleagues who belong to the higher education sectors. Hence, in pursuant with this unprecedented transition towards the new normal, one notable concept that you could all earnestly associated with the Commission is its full support and adoption of flexible learning. This is the novel and alternative modality of instruction under the new normal paradigm of Philippine higher education. Flexible learning refers to the design and delivery of programs, courses, and learning interventions that address learners' unique needs in terms of place, pace, process, and products of learning. It involves the use of digital and non-digital technology and covers both face-to-face, in-face, or in-person learning and out-of-classroom learning modes of delivery, or a combination of both. It ensures the continuity of inclusive and accessible education when the use of traditional modes of teaching is not feasible, as in the occurrence of national emergencies such as this COVID-19 pandemic. Let me emphasize the overarching mother policy of the Commission on Flexible Learning by enumerating the salient provisions of the approved CMO, which include: first, the deeply rooted philosophy of flexible learning teaching and designs, approaches, and initiatives which are centrally based on the context and needs of our students. Thus, this CMO on flexible learning is student-centered. Second, the exercise of discretion by the HEIs and their faculty in the deployment of flexible learning and other alternative delivery modes that must be, per CHED COVID-19 Advisory Number 6, reasonable, transparent, and outcomes-based, validated, remains in effect. Third, the submission of the Learning Continuity Plan by our HEIs to the respective CHED regional offices, which shall reflect the framework and system for the transition and integration of flexible learning approaches anchored on the existing tools and resources of the institution, capability of staff and faculty members, as well as the capacity of students to join alongside the transition. The fourth is the responsibility of HEIs to determine the quality of access and degree of capability to use technology between low, medium, or high levels by their learners, as well as the corresponding flexible learning approaches applicable to their peculiar cases. The fifth is the utilization of learning management systems, either proprietary or non-proprietary, as well as the utilization of electronic library materials and other open educational resources must also be prioritized by HEIs as reference for their various flexible learning pedagogies and disciplinal content. Six is the need to facilitate and implement capacity building programs through joint programs, grants, and other means as necessary in training administrators, faculty, and staff in the migration towards flexible learning. Seventh is the utilization of responsive and relevant flexible learning modalities of either offline, blended, or online, depending on the resources at the disposal of our learners and faculty in view of the following components: technology, content learning materials, evaluation assessment methodologies, provision of support services, enforcement of policies on intellectual property, attendance, reporting and updating of students, and the overview and orientation guides for students and teachers. Finally, I want to emphasize with the initiative of establishing consortiums among higher education institutions. A consortium is bounded by a common vision and mission, ensuring quality and excellence in the delivery of various academic programs. This engagement of the HEIs is anchored in the spirit of bayanihan and the concept of synergy as means of achieving goals. The CMO on flexible learning is geared for massive public orientation down to every HEIs in every region of the country prior to its implementation for this upcoming year. I am so delighted when the state universities and colleges, as well as the private higher education institutions of Region 10, enthusiastically accepted my proposal to come up with this consortium so as to efficiently and effectively address the challenges posed by the COVID-19 induced new normal. Let me also commend this consortium that despite the pending status of your proposal, you remain firm and steadfast in holding on to your goals of this consortium. Truly, this Region 10 consortium of the HEIs is bestowed by a common vision and mission of ensuring the presence of quality and excellence in the delivery of the various academic programs, which signifies innovative partnership among HEIs anchored on the spirit of bayanihan and the culture of synergy as a way of achieving its objectives. One may wonder though, as others have alleged, why pursue a consortium at a time when due to existing restrictions, it would be prudent to preserve the status quo as it has worked before? Well, let me illustrate my point by citing the economic phenomenon referred to as the tragedy of the commons. American ecologist Garrett Hardin posits that when individuals are left to their own unrestrained self-interest in the consumption of finite resources referred to as the commons, the absence of regulation, control, and compassion for others would lead to an inevitable tragedy of resource depletion. This is the very scenario that the consortium ultimately wants to prevent. Yes, we do recognize that OERs, LMS, and other educational resources are limited and scarce, but with sound planning and logical measures through this consortium effort, together we can maximize these academic resources for the utmost benefit of our stakeholders. Now that the Commission on Higher Education spearheads the implementation of flexible learning under the new normal, it is imperative for us to adapt alongside our learners and consider them not just as mere recipients of knowledge, but also as partners in nation building for a better future. That is why, to ensure the very success of this consortium, we must first guarantee that our students are united with us in this journey towards the new normal. As we hold on to our beliefs and principles as academicians, it behooves us to ensure that our learners must remain to be educated despite the novel circumstances we may encounter due to this global 19 threat. That is why my kind appeal to each and every faculty listening as of this moment is to maximize every opportunity there is to capacitate you amidst the pandemic. As such, this online training program is one good example for all of us to take the utmost advantage of. After all, this initiative has been thought of with growth and development of our teachers as the main underlying purpose. Before I conclude, let me raise this question to everyone. What should be our attitude in order for us to never lose the essence and worth of learning to our lives? Let me end my message by sharing these words of wisdom by the Chinese philosopher and intellectual Confucius, in which he has said, and I quote, "Learn as though you would never be able to master it. Hold it as though you would be fear of losing it. Let those words be the impenetrable mantra we all should possess as we journey together towards flexible learning under the new normal paradigm. Just as I always say, united in mind and in spirit, let us hold together that we can, and we will make this new normal a better normal for the Philippine higher education and the entire Filipino nation. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Darilag, for that inspiring message, for giving us the rationale on why CHED has embarked on this series of projects all over the country and what CHED has done so far to equip our higher education institutions and our faculty on this new normal. Thank you again, Com. At this point, before we give the floor to our invited resource speaker, may we remind everyone that you can post your questions in our chat box for our participants who are watching via FB live stream. Our CHED staff will monitor your questions, but please, when you ask your questions, indicate your name, your school if possible, and to whom you will address the question. So we have assigned staff to monitor your questions. Thank you. To move on, one of our consultant, when the consortium in the region was formed and sharing her expertise on flexible learning, will give us, or she will share to us, her experiences on teacher training with the use of flexible learning. And she is a member of the CHED National Technical Panel on Flexible Learning. And she is from the University of San Tomas. Please help me welcome Dr. Annalyn E. Porto. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. I'll just share my screen. Can you see it now? Is my screen visible already?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So again, good morning to everyone, to Commissioner Aldrin Darilag, to CHEDRO 10 Director Alvarez, to the presidents of the universities, and to the faculty and non-teaching staff who are with us today via Zoom or others via Facebook Live. Now, my objective for today is to share some insights on teacher training on flexible learning. So a few days before classes were suspended in March, my research paper on adapting e-learning technologies in higher educational institutions, the role of organizational culture, technology acceptance, and attitude got accepted in this journal. This research particularly focuses on faculty perspectives on the infusion of technology, or basically the adoption and use of e-learning technologies in higher educational institutions. What are my identified gaps? Why did I pursue this research? Primarily because I observed that there are only few faculty members who are actually using e-learning given the technology that is present, or even given that learning management system is present or already available. and even with the training, support, and sometimes prodding given by administrators. And so I decided to pursue why is this happening from the perspectives of the teachers, and I included school culture as part of my research variables. So let me share with you some pertinent results of my study. The demographic profile of the subjects of my study, these are the modal values. Most of them are in the private institution, ages 31 to 40. Most are female with 11 to 20 years of teaching experience. Most are also in the instructor rank with a very satisfactory faculty evaluation, and most have attained their master's level or their master's degree. And I tried to correlate these demographic variables with how technology is infused into their respective institutions. And this is the result that I got. Among the profiles that were correlated with technology infusion, only the type of institution and academic rank had a significant effect. Obviously, public HEIs need more funding to acquire the necessary technology equipment. Most private HEIs are already into wireless connections, and as such, students can access the internet anytime and anywhere inside the campus. Presence of these technologies would be an advantage to HEIs in successfully infusing technology in their organization. Most studies also agrees that access to information and communication technologies has a direct and significant influence on behavioral intention to use technologies. Academic rank also presents a positive relationship to infusion of technology. This means that there is a tendency for individuals to emulate the attitudes and behaviors of higher status individuals. Some teachers may perceive that by imitating what the higher ranking faculty are doing, it may result more likely to adopting their ways. Administrators should likewise serve as model by adapting e-learning in their academic and administrative work. This table shows the mean scores on the use of technology and the variables I use for technology acceptance. These variables are actually variables included in the technology acceptance model. For the use of technology, most teachers actually use technology in terms of communication. As such, there is high mean scores on the use of group chat or group messaging, the use of email, and also providing some web links or links for research and information gathering. But there is low use of technology in terms of posting lectures online, in terms of using different internet applications and asking students to post projects or their output online. For perceived usefulness of technology, respondents mostly believe that using e-learning makes their job easier and enhance their effectiveness as a teacher. Respondents also perceive that learning new technologies is easy for them and that it makes them more of a skillful teacher. In terms of attitude towards use of technology, respondents rated highest that they find enjoyment and relevance in using technology. However, it also must be noted that respondents believe that the use of technology in teaching should not be compulsory. Under behavioral intention, respondents express their intention to continuously use e-learning applications now and even in the future. It also must be noted that some of these perceptions may be actually shared beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors towards e-learning. This kind of social contagion can be beneficial to the proliferation of change needed in an organization. This means that the adoption and infusion of e-learning can be influenced by the people within the organization by providing collegial or technical support or communicating its benefits and being aware of its presence. Forcing e-learning as part of work will not produce a direct adjustment. Rather, infusion of technology should operate on the teacher's attitude to participate actively in an organizational advocacy. By doing this, teachers make a commitment to practice e-learning and find enjoyment in what they are doing, rather than just being mere compliant and pressured by administrators. When I tried to get the correlation of these technology acceptance variables to infusion of technology, results shows a very strong relationship that exists between the main construct of technology acceptance model. This reveals that the degree to which a faculty member perceives the technology enhance his or her performance as a teacher, as well as a perception that the technology is free of physical and mental effort, are influencing factors for teachers to use technology. Likewise, a teacher's personal desirability of using the technology without unnecessary force and an intention to perform a specified behavior also predicts the actual usage or infusion of technology in schools. In terms of organizational culture, the following dimensions are correlated with infusion of technology, such as organizational leadership, management of employees, organization glue, and criteria of success. This means that faculty members perceive that they are already led by educational administrators that are good at organizing, monitoring, administering, coordinating, and maintaining efficiency. Administrators are also perceived to promote highest level of quality in the educational process and systematic problem solving. Hence, the role of educational leaders is crucial in the change process, or to be more specific, in the infusion of technology. While monitoring and controlling is needed to implement the infusion of technology, it should likewise be achieved by emphasizing that the infusion of technology will not only increase competitiveness of the school, but at the same time increase the competency of the faculty. Teachers should not be merely regarded as employees, but as partners in the educational process. Excuse me. 21st century learning environments entail integration of technology into the educational settings. Technology has been making rampant waves of change in organizations, and schools are not spared from it. Organizational change is challenging schools, being a highly dynamic organization, which means any change would have an impact in the curriculum, learning styles, pedagogy, instructional resources, infrastructure, organizational structure, and even stakeholders' preferences. But inevitably, technology infusion in education is no longer an option, but an existence that must be confronted. So it is but time for us to deconstruct the classroom. If we see classrooms this way, we have to see classrooms now in a different way or a different design. In some books or some authors, they now call classrooms as learning spaces, where students can sit wherever they want, and tables can be rearranged into forming collaborative groups. According to the father of OBE, William Spady, but anything that is bound in education casts doubt whether it is real or authentic learning. So it's about time to view classroom that is something that is boundless. So we should view classroom now as a form of a classnet, wherein students need not prepare for school. They do not need uniforms. They learn with their family or with their community. It's completely unstructured. There are assisted, learners can be assisted by family and friends. And there's a multi-layer and web of interactions that they can have. There's also unlimited access to resources, and embedded into the world of experience. So the context of learning now is the world of the students, their experiences, their prior knowledge, their interaction with the community. Learning occurs through the interrelatedness of these three. As teachers that will be having training in this flexible learning environment, we should also take into consideration that using technology is different from technology integration. Technology integration is something that is planned and purposeful. Technology information should also encourage higher order thinking skills. It should facilitate collaboration. It should construct and build knowledge. And that technology integration is essential to the learning activity. We also have to be mindful of our teaching presence, no? Our presence, even in flexible learning. Not only teaching presence, but we should also make our presence felt socially, no? Through forum, through chat, through communication channels. And most importantly, the activities that we will put into our curriculum should also have this cognitive presence. So we should establish this presence, teaching presence, social presence, and cognitive presence. So what will be the impact of all this? Impact, challenges, and the opportunities ahead. We should revisit, first and foremost, there should be the revisiting of the curriculum. But even though there will be a consortium, we can still put into the culture of our respective universities in the curriculum. What else? We should have a change in the instructional mindset. So change your mindset to transform your teaching. We should, as teachers, we should have a growth mindset. Embrace the challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, and find lessons and inspirations from the success of others. We should also reformulate assessment. There is a need to rethink the use of standard tests and measurement. While it can be maintained, it should not be the only basis of assessment. Assessment should focus on individual and personalized discoveries and learnings as well. It is also about time to consider team teaching or collaborative teaching. So improves it because study shows that it improves one teaching skills and encourages interdisciplinary approach, much the same as the concept of synergy mentioned a while ago by Commissioner Darilag. So before I end my presentation, there are things that I want you to remember when you do your training or you do your flexible learning delivery. It is not the technology that is important. It is how it is used by the teacher to create new experiences for the learner. The technology is more like a prosthesis, permitting some new possibilities, but always under the control of the instructor, who can quickly and easily make some fine-tuning adjustments. The instructor's personality is still in evidence. It is possible to be a caring individual even in an online situation. Clearly, the pandemic calls for the next level of commitment from us teachers. While technology is a benefit of modernity, may we be able to integrate technology purposefully as a gift to our students. As teachers, we will make it sure that our students will continue to learn and grow amidst a pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Porto, for sharing your study and how it is actually applied in your institution and how other schools, specifically in Region 10, can make use of flexible learning in their own setting. Thank you very much. So for our participants who are now again watching live in our Facebook page, please type in or use our chat box for your questions. if you have questions for Dr. Porto, please indicate there that you'll address your question. And we will give time, Dr. Porto, later to answer the questions. So we will ask Dr. Porto to take a few minute rest first so we can proceed with our program. We will have time for open forum later. Thank you, Dr. Porto. Okay, so again, reminder, if you have not registered yet for this launching program this morning, please do so. We have a Google link for that, and our staff will post again the link so that you can register for this morning's activity. Okay, now let's proceed on to our next part of the program. One of the member, very active member, in fact, he's one of the busiest member of our technical working group for flexible learning in Region 10, will give an overview on what's going to happen in our 12-day training, and she will introduce the series of trainings for the participants. So our next resource speaker is the director of the Center for E-Learning of MSU, Iligan Institute of Technology. She's a professor of the College of Computer Studies. Please help me welcome Dr. Seni V. Malabanan. Ma'am?
Hello.
You're in, Dr. Zeni.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our esteemed commissioners, Dr. Darila, also to Dr. Porto, and as well as our regional director and all our university presidents, as well as our participants in today's launching. So I am tasked to present to you the training implementation plan for this 12-day training. Okay, so here's my slide. Yeah. Okay, so we all know that we are working on this project under the revised and expanded continuing professional education program of the Commissioner on Higher Education. And we have here our the talk of our chair of CHED, Dr. De Vera, about flexible learning. And we have here a definition. It is a broader term that focuses on the design and delivery of programs, courses, and learning interventions that address learners' unique needs in terms of space, place, process, and products of learning. It does not necessarily require connectivity. And another thing that he mentioned is about more practical solution and amid the coronavirus threat, which is to move toward flexible learning, which uses digital and non-digital technology. So let us reflect first on this term, reflex. When we hear the word reflex, it says a reflex or a reflex action, which is an involuntary and nearly instantaneous movement in response to a stimulus. So what do I mean with reflex? So this means a lot for Region 10 because we have that. Let's go to the next slide. And then it press. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, and that is it. Project Reflex. I term this as Project ReFLEX10. Nasira ang slide. So I have their retooling for flexible learning and teaching strategies of Region 10 HEI faculty. So in short, when we are asked, what are we having now? We call it ReFLEX10, and it means retooling. And we are talking about the transitioning. And we retool our faculty members on flexible learning and teaching strategies. And that's it. That's why, in short, we call it ReFLEX10. Okay. So, what is our aim? Our aim is to capacitate Region 10 HEIs to make the transition on delivering courses from traditional face-to-face mode to flexible modality. So you have there the term capacitate, which means we want to help capacitate Region 10 faculty members. And we mentioned about transition. So it was also mentioned by our regional director that our program is transitioning, as well as our commissioner, Darilan. Okay, so here is the training, design, and implementation for our ReFLEX10 program. And our main objectives, you have there the blue ones: to redesign, to create assessments, to strategize, and to integrate. And of course, our red letters, we have there to redesign OBE syllabus for flexible learning and teaching modalities. We are now very much familiar with our OBE syllabus. And in fact, that is what we will be doing, to redesign. And then to create assessments aligned with learning outcomes. And to strategize on delivering methods for categories of learners. Now take note that our category of learners are those without online connectivity, with intermittent connectivity, or with full connectivity. And as well as to integrate technology in teaching and learning. So our online implementation today is, of course, our soft opening. And this afternoon, we will have an overview of the LMS. However, we have a special guest this afternoon before my talk on LMS overview, because we want to emphasize on the talk this afternoon that we need as well to understand our learners. Okay. Our schedule will be every Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, Fridays. We do not have webinars and workshops on Wednesdays. So you have there the schedule, which will be, this slide will be shared to you, and this will be posted as well in our LMS. Okay, the time is at 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. in the morning, and that is in a webinar. And in the afternoon, there will be a webinar as well, or which we call synchronous. So the 9:30 to 11:30 is in synchronous mode. And the 2 to 4 p.m. will be a mix of synchronous and asynchronous. So the 2 to 4 p.m. are the workshops that we have to do, and this will be as well using our LMS, or Learning Management System, which is our Moodle platform. Okay, you cannot perhaps see this. This is too small, but I have a bigger one. This is the whole picture of the 12-day training. We have, for each unit, or rather we have 4 units, and those 4 units respond to the objectives that we have. So the first objective is our syllabus redesign for flexible learning modality, when we have that topic. So day 1, 2, and 3 will cover part of redesigning for flexible learning modality. So if you go back to our objectives that I mentioned, that is the first objective. And we have the more specific topic, webinar launching today. Then we have, for day 1, we have in the afternoon. That will be today as well. Day 2 will be on July 13, Monday. And the webinar will be 9:30 to 11:30. And in the afternoon, we also have a schedule for day 2. Sorry, it's missing here. Okay. There should be another row in there in day 2. I could have cut that off. So I'll revise this slide. There is, of course, in the afternoon. And then we have day 3. So all in all, every day for 12 days, we have sessions in the morning for 2 hours and in the afternoon, another 2 hours. So that is the second objective, which we have the lessons or the webinars on aligning assessments to learning outcomes. Then we also have the next one, which is on day 7, 8, and 9, learning delivery and teaching strategies. So the topics are there. And then we have accessing technology and creating virtual classrooms. So again, we have this implementation plan and it is there. And for the coordinators, we will have a meeting every Wednesday because our training implementation is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday. And Wednesdays will be for consolidating our tasks with the trainers in the training team. And it was mentioned a while ago that we have trainers coming from Xavier University, we have USTSP, and we also have Mindanao, Misamis University, and Capital University. So, and that's what we have to do, and included there is, of course, the schedule for our training. Now, this was mentioned a while ago, our consortium members, which we have formed in this program for the RECPE and our training. So we have this involvement in our ReFLEX10, and we have this HEIs. And of course, the scope, or rather the members, will come from the different areas in the 5 provinces of Northern Mindanao. So we have participants coming from, of course, Camiguin, Bukidnon. Then we have Misamis Oriental, Misamis Occidental, and Lanao del Norte. And of course, the cities that are bounded by all those provinces. So I go now to what indicators of success do we have for this training. So I mentioned the 4 units. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this appeared in our objective. And now I relate it to what are our indicators of success, meaning our faculty must have or is able to redesign the syllabi and align assessments to learning outcomes, embed strategies on how to deliver courses for different categories of learners, and maximize the use of technology. As Dr. Porto said, it is not technology that we are there for. We are there, we are teachers, and we are there to rather design our modules and be present among our learners. So I have this statement. It says, if learners think it looks bad, you may have lost a good percentage of the battle in getting them to pay attention. So perhaps we should reflect on what we need to design for our learners. We have there the learners. We think about the learners first. That's why we have in the ReFLEX10, we have retooling for flexible learning and teaching strategies. So we have the L first before the T. So that is how we have a look at, go back to ReFLEX10. And then we also have the second statement from Jennifer Fleming. It says, teaching in the internet age means we must teach tomorrow's skills today. So even if we have the skills today, we have to enhance it. But because we are also having the technology in our hands, we have to really improve on delivering our teaching methodologies. And of course, think about the learners while we are working on with technology. And the most important thing here is this. We are a consortium. Our immediate main purpose is to help each other and assist other institutions in Region 10 to transition from the traditional face-to-face learning to a flexible learning modality. So that is why we have formed this consortium, because we want to help other institutions within the bounds of Region 10. And perhaps other regions can learn from us, and it's in the same thing that we are able to learn from other HEIs in different regions. And with that, I end this presentation, and I thank you everyone for this participation to our launching program.
Thank you very much, Doc Seni, for that very detailed and clear presentation of our schedule of objectives, and to the schedules and to the expected deliverables from our participants. So from your presentation, our participants now know that so much work and effort has been done prior to the launching of this program, no? In particular are our members of the technical working group. And then of course we are still on the first day. We have 11 days more to go, 11 days and a half more to go. So we will ask Dr. Seni to have some few minutes of rest, because we will answer, or we will ask Dr. Porto to answer some questions raised by our participants via the FB Live. So Dr. Porto, the first question is from a faculty. I-mute. Pwede natin i-mute si Doc Seni. Okay. Sige. So for Dr. Porto, no, this is from Emelita Torino. Hello, Dr. Porto. I would like to ask clarification on your table 3. How did you come up or arrive with the scoring, specifically on the variable behavior or behavioral and other variables? Doc?
There are statements that that corresponds to each of the variables. Now, I just didn't show all of the statements that comes with each variable. But I think are you referring to the technology acceptance variable? No? That's from the technology acceptance model. So even if you look at the technology acceptance model, so there are certain statements there that makes you come up with the mean scores or total mean scores for each of the variable. So that's how I came up with the results.
Thank you for that. Another question for Dr. Porto from Mr. Alex Ogsimar. His question is, Do you foresee any proliferation of discrimination from students for teachers handling online classes? If there's any, how can we best handle the situation? From Don Carlos Polytechnic College.
Um, of course, we do not want any discrimination, and as much as possible, even in the training program that was shown by Dr. Malabanan, inclusivity was present. No? So there are learning activities that will be given to students who have no internet connection, or even maybe for even those with do not have the capacity to buy any of the technologies that are present. For example, laptop or tablet. No? But in most studies, it is found out that at the very least, a student can have or has a smartphone. So that is the least means of technology that a student can have. So we do not want any discrimination here.
Okay, I think, Doc, this is a related, but this is a question, this is a comment from a faculty, Gemma Morante Gigue, who said that the strong network connection throughout the country is important to be able for these strategies and methods to be successfully realized. I think she's speaking of areas in Region 10 na walang or difficult or very slow ang network connection.
I think it was discussed in one of our consultation meetings. So I know that the national government and even the local government are doing something about it, but then again, we are pushing for inclusivity, and so as mentioned by Dr. Malabanan, there will be activities for the 3 types of learners that were already identified by Jed.
Okay. One more question for Dr. Porto from Miles. No, from Melissa Mangalif of MSU Iligan Institute of Technology. The question: did your study also cover universities or colleges in Mindanao?
I'm sorry, but my study did not cover universities in Mindanao. It's mostly from NCR and Luzon.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doc. Another question. Okay, so the questions are coming in now for Dr. Porto. Can we consider the influence of financial status or capability of an academic institution to organizational culture? From Dr. Alexander Morados.
I think it was not included in the domains of organizational culture. So what I used was the common organizational culture model by Cameron and Quinn, and I don't think finance was included in the picture. But as I have mentioned, that part of the profile for there is a significant difference between private and public HEIs in terms of infusion of technology. So probably we can look at it from there, that it has something to do with financial resources.
Thank you. I think this is the last question for Dr. Porto from Ma'am Leonila Badilla. I would like to ask if you had regression analysis, and what are your recommendations based from your findings? This is from LaSalle University, Ozami City.
Okay. Let me just look at some of my notes. For my recommendations of the study, yes, I use regression analysis. And for some of the recommendations that I gave from the study that I have, from the results of my study, are management of organizations acculturation through empowerment and active involvement of the people in the educational setting. Proper control and monitoring of processes and structures needed in technology infusion. Expectations and performance indicators should be well communicated. Appropriate coordination systems within the organization should be in place. And lastly, if necessary, benefits and reward systems should be considered.
Thank you for that. There is one more question Would it be okay, Dr. Porto? You can accommodate
ma'am.
one more from Mr. Reynard Fernandez. He said, I've been teaching math for more than 30 years in an actual classroom setting. Most of my students have difficulties in learning concepts in math. Would it be more effective if we use online or flexible learning system in teaching math? This is from Central Mindanao University.
Well, not only math, no, but other skills-based programs or courses are actually having difficulty. But again, I believe that it's in the creativity of the teacher, no, that we will be able to reach all the learning outcomes that we intend to have in our respective courses. I'm sure the training that you will be given will all give you the necessary competencies to be able for you to attain the learning outcomes. I'm sorry, I cannot really answer it directly, but for me, it's really in the creativity of the teachers. Even PE teachers are having a hard time. Now, how are they going to teach PE in this online environment? But again, we leave it up to the creativity of the teachers and the learnings that we will have in the succeeding days.
Okay, thank you. Doc, may pahabol. I'm not
Opo.
sure if you will be, if this is the scope of your expertise, but this is good to ask, no? From a faculty named Sir Ricardo Yanez of Hingoog Colleges, Hingoog City Colleges. Did you consider the amount of radiation exposure to our teachers and learners to keep them healthy?
Yes, it's not part of my study. But studies show that yes, we have to consider screen time because kaya nga meron tayong synchronous and asynchronous activities because we have to consider the screen time of our students and our faculty as well.
Very much, Dr. Porto, for the presentation and for the responses to our questions. So, CHED Region 10, in behalf of our regional director and the consortium members, we'd like to thank you for your support, for your assistance to the consortium from the start of the creation of this consortium. And we hope to see you again in our endeavor. Thank you very much.
I hope to. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we ask everyone if you have questions for Ma'am Zenny, Dr. Zenny Malabanan's presentation, specifically on the schedules, the objectives, the what do you expect from the training, and all. Ma'am Zenny, I think I have one question here for you. Are you ready, Ma'am Zenny? The first question is from Julie Lau. We are required to use Moodle in our school during our training. 36 lectures for one semester except 4 meetings for exams. Every meeting we have to give quizzes, assignments, lesson objectives, videos, and then to check attendance all in one session. Can this, or is this visible for students to assimilate at one time?
Okay. The submissions or the requirements that are demanded of the students are actually supposed to be planned by the faculty member. So just like in our classrooms, when we are in a face-to-face mode, do we give all those sort of number of assignments or number of submissions? So going back to the design of our courses and our submissions, what is it for the learning outcome? What assessment is there for the specific learning outcome expected of the student? So when the syllabi is designed or when a syllabus is designed, there should be the timetable that the teacher will have to include in the design. And for this training, that is, the training is different if it is already the actual for the classes. So it depends now on the classes, and it depends on the institution what outcomes they want for their students. So I should say it is independent, or rather the output that the student will submit for an assignment. Say it is in Moodle. And in the same manner, we will have, of course, the Moodle as well as our learning management system in this training. For the universities or for other institutions, when they will be back, it is part of the training for this 12 days training, how you will be preparing your LMS. But in the first 3 sessions, the students or rather the participants will be in the student mode, and you will experience what the student will as well experience when they will be in the actual classes online.
Thank you, Doc Seni. Another question from Dr. From our former director of CHED Region 9. Okay. He is now connected with Capital University. He said, ultimately, everything will be done online. Does it mean that our classrooms and laboratory in the campus will be obsolete? How can we maximize the use of these spaces? From Dr. Juanito Demetrio.
Okay. Now, laboratories are not, we will not say it is obsolete. All the training is online, but all our classroom as well, we are preparing our classes online. The classroom that we will use for the training is the learning management system that we are still configuring at this stage, and that is for the training. But for the actual rather, meaning when the classes open, the teacher should have to design how their laboratory classes will be handled. There are, of course, courses that will need to have physical presence, but there are those that will also need to have laboratories that can be done online. For example, computing courses can be done online. But of course, nursing courses, there are guidelines being prepared by the Council of Deans of Nurses, how they will do it. So the laboratory classes, meaning the warm bodies that have to be present in a laboratory, that has to be, of course, having a design, like for example, using simulations, okay, using some demo in the whatever, for example, a demonstration on cooking, for example, demonstration on how to change diapers, for example. And students will learn at least from those materials. But of course, going back to the design of the syllabi, even those that will have to be for laboratory classes, the faculty member should think about those. But we will not, of course, shortchange our students with the curriculum that we have. And it will be depending on the institutions, how they will move around their classes with laboratories. In our experience, we have to schedule for the whole semester what classes can be offered in the next half of the semester, for example, or in the next semester. So there will be the redesigning of the programs that you will be offering in your respective institutions. I hope I have answered you, Sir June.
Thank you, Doc Seni. And there will be more answers to that as the training will go. Ma'am Zeni, 2 more questions, or
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so question from Ma'am said Cherise Gayunan. As this is a flexible learning training, is the training platform of is this training a platform of flexibility in learning when it has specific time schedules?
Well, of course, when we say flexible, this is the whole objective of our training. It's flexibility, not flexibility on how we will deliver. Because how could it be flexible, for example, like, do you want us to be flexible in terms of the synchronous? Of course, in the synchronous mode, when we conduct the training, we should be in our offices, we should be in, or rather at home, but we are contained within the schedule of 9:30 to 11:30, and that's it. That's the synchronous. But for the platform that we will use, of course, or not the platform, the learning management system platform is in Moodle, and we can handle synchronous and asynchronous in that platform. So the resources, the submissions are in asynchronous mode. And with asynchronous mode, you will, of course, be flexible enough to make use of the LMS in what time you want to use the LMS. So I think that's how we term flexibility. Another, of course, we go back to what our CHED Secretary De Vera said about flexibility, and it is, of course, considering of the pace, and of course the time and the place. And of course, we take note that it is flexible because we need to consider the three categories of learners: those having connectivity, those having intermittent connectivity, and those having, or rather, no connectivity at all.
Thank you, Doc Seni. There are still some questions here, but I guess many of this can be answered as the training goes on, because of the questions would refer to the topic now that you have presented, like what's the difference between a Google Classroom and Moodle, and how do we why is there a need to redesign our syllabus, specifically the teaching strategy component, and what else about, there's a question about LMS, and I'm sure this will be answered, no, in one of our session. And what else, but this one is quite difficult for paramedical or health courses, because there are clinical duties, a component to that. And how can CHED implement the delivery of these subjects without compromising the skills of the students? So, well, but wait, because there are radiation. Yes, I think in the infra component, Doc Zeni, there's a question from SBFA, Southern Bukidnon Academy. Is there possibility for higher education institutions to partner with local telcos because you have difficulty with connections?
Okay, that is, I think, not in the scope of the training. It is in the scope of the infrastructure. We have a team that works on the infrastructure, and with regards to connectivity with that, it is as well one of the projects that is being undertaken by the regional office on and the NEDA about infrastructure problems. So for now, we will be connected with what we have, and we will be, of course, we cannot compromise the training, but of course, we need to deliver what we need to deliver. And for connectivity issues, it should already be localized in your own perspective, I think.
Thank you, Doc Zeni. There are many other questions, but we will take note of them, and then we will present them to the speakers, resource persons, during the specific topic where the questions can be raised again. So at this point, thank you. We'd like to thank Doc Seni Malabanan for the responses to the question, and of course, again, the detailed presentation. So there are questions are coming, are still coming, pero we don't have time for that. But just a reminder that SHED is recording this uh, uh, launching, as well as all the other sessions will be recorded and will be posted in a separate platform, specifically YouTube, and also in the LMS. Am I right, Nadok Seni? In the LMS, so that all participants can have access. But again, we remind participants to register every session, every day. Separate session, morning register. You have to register again in the session in the afternoon, so that you can receive your certificate of completion after the series of trainings. So I hope that's clear for our participants. Thank you again, Doc Sen. So, now we proceed to the next item. Actually, this is the last item in our program. The director of e-learning of University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines will give some reminders for the series of training that we will have. So please welcome Dr. Amparo V. Pinagsao. Doc Amphi? Doc, you're still muted. Naka-mute si Doc Amphi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Minguez. Good morning, everyone. This is just a gentle reminder on some webinar etiquette and some requests. So first, log in ahead or on time and register using the link provided. This has been clearly kept on, we are kept on being reminded by Dr. Amapola. No? Number two, submit your outputs during the workshop and upload in our LMS. So this will also be provided on how and where during as we proceed, as we progress on our webinars. And so it is also important that we know the schedule to manage our time, and please participate in all the webinars. The 12-day training is designed for our faculty in the region to be prepared for the implementation of flexible learning. So do actively participate. And also we remind that for your queries and clarifications and questions, please use the chat features in Zoom if you are in Zoom. And if you are attending and watching us on Facebook Live, please use the comment section. Since we are all online, no, it is easier to be distracted and with social media and with also our work. But to appreciate the webinars and its content and what will be shared by our invited resource speakers, we request that our participants avoid multitasking. And for the team to also hear your feedback and also know if the training has been helpful and if it's relevant, and also know what else are your needs, please complete the evaluation. This is in Google form for every session. And if you have participated in all the webinars and submitted all the evaluations well in all the sessions, the certificate of completion will be given to our participants. Lastly, we know that we are still experiencing from time to time some challenges with internet connection. So let us extend patience and understanding towards one another. No? It could be that some intermittent connection will be coming from our resource speaker or coming from CHED or maybe from our participants. And so just understanding and patience is requested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc Amphi, for that visual and clear presentation, reminders for our participants. There was one question, not question, but a request if we can share to them a copy of the schedule presented by Doc Sani. Actually, we have posted already in our official Facebook page the schedule, so kindly visit our Facebook page. Scroll down to the date July 6. We posted the schedule there, so you can check it. And we know, as announced earlier, that the start of the first unit topic will be this afternoon. So at 2 p.m. And consider already the reminders given to us by Dr. Dinagsao. Okay, so and please don't forget to prepare the syllabi or syllabus you are going to use for the training, and kung pwede, the syllabus that you're going to use at the opening of classes. Okay, thank you again, Doc Amphi. So now at this point in time, our staff will post the link to the registration form again. Sir Godfrey, can you post our link to the registration for this morning? And Sir Godfrey will also post the registration later in the afternoon, again in our Facebook page, and also the Zoom link for those who will be allowed already to join the Zoom. If you notice, very few people are in our Zoom meeting room because this is just the launching. We allowed our resource speakers to come in before the participants. But later, more participants will be allowed to join the Zoom meeting room. But again, since we are about more than almost 2,000 participants registered, some will still be watching via the FB live stream. So that's all for this morning's launching. We thank everyone, our resource speakers, Commissioner Derilag for joining us, Dr. Annalyn Porto, our members of the technical working group, the heads of the agency, higher education institutions, the CHED director, Dr. Alvarez, and my colleagues here in the office who are up and about with the technology. This is our first time to have a full use of our technology for this. So we hope to see all participants in the afternoon later. So before we close this, again, we remind Sir Mark to post the link for the registration this morning. So with this, I say, what's this? Reminder from Dr. Malabanan, trainers, please, from Capital University, UST, SPXU, and MU for a meeting. No, not meeting, not remind lang. Okay, just a reminder. Okay, thank you. So tomorrow I will have a meeting at 9:30. So see, may mga training. Okay, anyway, so that's all for today. Again, we will keep this in the Facebook page, the link. Good day, everyone, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Yay, we're done.
Good job, Ma'am Seni.
Good job, Doc Ma'am Seni, and also Doc Amphi.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Thank you to our